all we're doing as I'm coming up is I'm tilting the trowel towards the wall. Okay, Blaine Gray from Plastering For Beginners. In today's video we're going to show you how to apply your plaster to the wall. I'm going to show you trowel techniques, I'm going to show you the right ways to apply plaster, and this is aimed for beginners, but it's also quite an advanced level because we're taking it to a different point. Usually I recommend people start at the top end of the wall, especially if you're a beginner. But this was aimed towards my members of Plastering Beginners and a subscribers list. But basically, this is aimed for the advanced student, but the techniques I show in this video are essential for anyone who's beginning to plaster or anyone who wants to improve the game and just basically get better at applying a plaster. I'll show you exactly how I do it in the most efficient way. So watch the video. Like I said, take the trowel techniques, and then at the end I'll give you a chance to learn the full process of plastering. So make sure you stick to the end of this video. This is the most crucial part to plastering. This is about getting your plaster flat on the wall. So I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you watch it and then wait till the end to see how you can learn the full process. Cheers. The first stage to all of this is applying the plaster. So we want to make sure that when we're getting the plaster on the wall, we're getting it as flat as possible. But in this process, we're not going to worry too much about it. We're going to try and be as productive as possible. Now, someone said, how much pressure do you use when you apply the plaster? And the answer is none. Hopefully it should be none. If you've got the perfect mix, the mix being 12.5 litres of water to 1 bag of plaster, then the idea is you have no pressure whatsoever. So I'm going to show you what I mean. When you're applying the plaster, always start in the corners. So I'm going to start on the left side of the room, and I want the plaster to be on the left side of the trowel. Take the plaster from the hook, and then as you take it over, you hold your trowel completely flat. It's wet. If you don't, it's going to fall. As you're coming up, tilt it in, and then trowel it across. Again flat, and then I'm coming in, and then troweling across. Come back on myself to flatten. So that's the side view of that. I'm going to quickly apply the plaster there. Again, load up the plaster. Don't take too much on your hook where you're worrying about holding it. You want to take a minimum amount, so enough to have a few trowels full, but if you've got too much where it's mounding over, you're going to be concerned, you're going to slack your movement. Get used to about 2-3 bucket trowels full. Take it off, again back in the corner, troweling in. Now I'm just going to throw that bit on. I'm constantly coming back on myself to take out any high spots. But the secret being, load up the hook again. 1, 2. This is a big bucket trowel. Use standard size, you want about 3 bucket trowel fulls. Not so, just a decent amount, but look. Side on view, take the plaster onto the trowel, bring it down to the bottom. Now you see we've got an open trowel there. You want to bring it in, and this is where the idea of applying no pressure comes in. If it's wet, it's spreading itself. All you're doing is tilting the trowel in, so you're just feeding the wall as you're moving. Let me show you again. Come back on yourself, back up. Take your plaster flat, bring it to the wall, 90-degree angle, push it in, and then all you're doing as you're coming up with your arm is pushing the trowel closer to the wall. No pressure. There's no pressure. All you're doing is just tilting your wrists slightly. And all you've got to do is get that speed right. So if you're new, start slowly, 90-degree, the slower, and as you're coming up, just feeding the plaster. Now come back, trowel it out. Now at the top, you've got 2 options. You can take it up, trowel these ripples back out again, or you could come back down. And that's up to you. But the question and the principle is the same. Even at the top, there's no pressure. All you're doing, look, I could just let that fall. and it'll flatten it itself. There's no pressure. If you've got the perfect mix and there's no pressure when you're plastering. Back up. Really get used to that principle of feeding the wall. That's what we're calling it, feeding the wall. Load up. And all you're doing is taking the plaster to the wall and feeding it. So there's no pressure when you're applying plaster. If there is, the mix is too thick. Now just get used to speeding up. Watch as I come back on myself. So what I'll do is, I'll apply the plaster, apply it, feed, 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 come back down, back up. Same again. Again. And every time we're coming back, there's going to be excess. You can see here, what I'm doing when I trowel back up, is I'm spreading that out. Now this is crucial. You want to keep the trowel as close to the wall as possible. And then what it'll do is spread itself. If you look at the trowel, it's got a curvature to it. That's for a reason. So if you had a completely flat trowel, it'd suck to the wall and you'd get stuck. Now they make them beveled for a reason. Is so when you've got your trowel flat, it's going to spread it. Evenly spread the plaster. So watch me when I apply the plaster and put it on the wall. Watch this. So I'm not going to come back on myself. I've got a fit part here. That's where the plaster is rippling over this edge of the trowel. And I've got another section here. Flat trowel. Come back on yourself. Any excess you find, keep sweeping, and then pull it to the next section. We're going to lose that when we apply this section of plaster, but if you look now, that area where I've just troweled is flat. This is how to be the most productive when you're plastering. Apply it. Now what I'm going to do is where you can see this overlay of fat, where the plaster's thick, I'm actually going to work towards that section. I'm going to aim my trowel for the centre of that overrun. Come on. Now I'm not going to come back, I'm just going to show you. Again, a bit of overspill. Come back to that point. Now, got a bit of excess there. The last point of my plaster is where I'm going to aim for the middle. I'm going to apply it exactly that point there. Take a load. Two bucket trowels. Middle. The middle of my plaster is going to line in the centre of that last point. Back up. Now I'm going to come back on south. Because that means I'm down here now. Instead of, I've got to come down anyway, which is why I come back. Now I'm back at this point where I've got the overspill. Right there. Take it over. Fat done. Again. Last point. Middle. Come back down. Now the ideal movement is to not stop. So, this is where you want to be in terms of productivity. I'm going to apply the plaster, get rid of any fat in the wall, apply the plaster, come back on ourselves, and then sweep back up to take this line out. There's always going to be an overspill on one side. So watch, we're going to come down, take the line out, back up again. Again, down, back up again. And we're not stopping. All you're doing then is continuously moving. So I'm going to show you that in a minute in pure detail, but that is the most effective way to apply plaster. Now I've started from the bottom. That's because I've got most of the wall covered. Now I can just go to the top and work down. But this is how to be the most productive in plastering a flat wall and the idea on how to do it. Okay, so what did you think? Did you enjoy it? Leave your comments below this video if you did. Please like and subscribe to our channel as well. Really appreciate that. We only depend on the subscribers, so again, if you did like it, press the subscribe button below. And yeah, if you like this content and you want to learn a full process to plastering and what happens after this, you can sign up to our free welcome course where we'll show you the basics on how to plaster a wall. And we'll go through the full process. It's email based, and basically we'll send you emails every day with a new video showing you the basics of plastering. So if you'd like to get involved, click the link below in the description and sign up to our free welcome course from Plastering for Beginners. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.